Hello, everybody. Welcome to the
Live.
webinar. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
I see a lot of familiar faces that were just on my webinar. Jean, Merle, Kimberly. Hey, Dana. Dana, we're Facebook friends now. Oh, you know what, Eric? It needs to be uploaded into. Eric, are you there?
I sure am.
It needs to be uploaded um, into Google Docs.
Well, that seems silly.
Yeah. In order to be able to present it. Do you want to do that?
Um, can I not just...
No, it doesn't do that. Well, maybe you could do that.
What if I did this right here?
Hold on, everybody. We're going to get started in a couple minutes.
How does that look?
That looks pretty good.
Awesome.
How did you do that?
You know, sometimes I just do things, Nance.
Awesome.
If
All
you
right.
press the buttons, it'll always work.
Okay. All right, we're just going to give it a minute yet. Let some of the peoples get on. Hi, Javosky. New York's in the house.
I'm going to New York in 2 weeks.
You are going to hang out with Hugh Zaretsky?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That will be a good time for sure. Okay, well, I think that we can get this party started. So I want to welcome everybody to the webinar. My name is Nancy Rowe. I am one of the Founders Advisory Board members for Renatus out of Chicago. My partner in crime here is Eric Counts. He's the owner of CreditNerds.com. He's also an instructor with Renatus, teaching credit repair and credit management. So this webinar is going to be going over the basics on our funds program, on how to be able to help people that are looking for financing for their Renatus education to be able to do so. So I am going to turn this right over to you. Eric, you ready?
Yes.
And go.
GetFundedOnline.com. The idea behind the site was we put all of the funding options in one place. Prior to that, sometimes we went one direction, sometimes you went another direction, sometimes you went to this site or that site. But the idea is if you need your students or if you need to get funded, the easiest way to do that is online. So GetFundedOnline.com, the easiest way to fund your Renatus education. It's just really simple. GetFundedOnline.com. The idea behind this is we're going to take a quick look at the funding process. We're still having some challenges with everybody really grasping the entire process. So we're going to go through each step a little more specifically as to how it relates to the different programs involved or that are available through GetFundedOnline.com.
Perfect.
The first step is that you hear about us. And it's usually from a Renatus representative, and that's probably already happened. Otherwise, it would be weird that you would randomly be on our webinar. It'd be odd if you just, hey, here's a webinar, I'm going to watch this one. Step 2 is you watch a webinar, and you're already on step 2, so look at that. Step 3. This is where the real magic starts happening. Step 3 involves registering for an assessment. Now, this is done at GetFundedOnline.com. We're going to go through in this webinar really quickly how to register for an assessment. We're actually going to register a pretend person very quickly on what they will see and how it works when somebody registers for an assessment. But this will allow us to place you into one of our funding programs and to help you reach your goals. Now, it's important to remember that registering for an assessment is not an application for funding or a loan. It is simply an assessment. It's allowing us to take a look at the credit profile using a soft pull, which means there's no negative damage to the credit profile. It's a soft pull that allows us to fit you into one of the many different funding programs. Once you register for an assessment, or actually in that process, you will provide a credit report. You see there it says, don't worry, not all of our programs are credit-based. We do have no credit check options.
Hey, you know what, Eric? I'm not seeing. Are you switching something on there?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it.
Well, I'm moving to the next slide. Do you see 3 boxes?
Nope.
You don't see 3
I
boxes.
still see getfundedonline.com.
Well, that's not good.
No, there it is. And this says register for assessment.
Yeah.
Now
Let's just say from current slide. Are you still seeing it?
Yeah, we just missed the previous slide though.
Well, that was just the slides about watching the webinar. Just me being silly.
Okay.
Register for an assessment, followed by provide a credit report. This is done in the process of registering for an assessment. And then we're going to review the assessment. Once your assessment is complete, we'll use that info to place you into a funding program that will create the perfect fit. And we will discuss solutions. Once we find the perfect fit, we'll discuss all the specific terms and fees for that program. We are going to give you guys a little bit better understanding of when and how and where fees are assessed along the way, so that doesn't create any confusion. But all of the programs have different specifics that surround them. The terms are different, the payments are different, the interest rates are different, the fees involved are different. So the idea for the assessment is to figure out which program that person fits in, and then be as specific as possible as to the fees and terms and how it works once that assessment has been reviewed and once you've been fit into a specific program.
Awesome.
Then there's going to be some paperwork. Guys, no matter what funding or loan process or mortgage or auto, if you've ever bought anything with credit, you know whether, when I say with credit, whether it was on credit or just, on a no credit check option, there's always paperwork. We are going to walk you through every step. Anything that you need help with, we're glad to help along the way. We're glad to walk you through your documents. We're glad to be on the phone with you and help you fill those out. Anything that you need in that sense, we're going to be there for you and help you walk right through that. So it shouldn't be too much of an option or too much of a challenge.
Are you on a new slide?
I'm sorry?
Are you on a new slide?
I did move to a new slide.
Oh, I don't see it. There it is. Hello, slide.
The next thing is that you receive your funding, and once your new education is funded, the sky is the limit. You guys know that. You can make some amazing profits utilizing both the funding resources that are provided and your new Renatus education. So that is the process in a nutshell. So what I would like to do is be a little more clear on each step along the way. One thing we're going to do right now is we're actually going to show you what registering an assessment is. When I register for an assessment, I'm going to go to, Nancy, are you still with me?
I'm with you. I just don't see anything yet.
Getfundedonline.com. You don't see my screen?
No. It was taken down, and now the magic is going to happen.
Now do you see my screen?
I do, but it is, I do.
So now do you see getfundedonline.com?
I totally see it now.
Fantastic. We are going to get the swing of this webinar system.
I like it, though.
I do like it.
I do, too.
When you send a person to Get Funded Online, they're going to see this screen. Do you need Renatus funding? It's easy to get funded online. Click this button. It's really simple. Or they can learn more below. So if they have additional questions, guys, there's always information. You see there's tons of information down here talking about the different types of funding and the process, registering for an assessment, providing your credit report, getting your funding options. There's lots of information down here, but it's also as easy as clicking Get Started Now right here, or Get Started Now right here, or Get Started Now right here. Anywhere where they click Get Started Now, it's going to allow them to, wait for it, get started now. When they click that, they're going to have a video that pops up. These videos are just a really simple, also apparently you aren't allowed to pick which screen your video sets on. Yeah, we're going to have to work on that, Nancy Rowe.
You're in the middle of something very
So what's going to happen is the assessment on each step, and there's only 4 steps. It's a very short process, but each step will come with a very short video, roughly 1 minute. Some of them are as short as 30 seconds, that will explain exactly what they are doing.
Hey everybody, Eric Counts, owner of CreditNerds.com, founder of GetFundedOnline.com. I wanted to take just a second and let you know what you're about to do. You're going to register for a funding assessment. Now, it's important to remember this is not an application for funding, and it is not an application for credit. It's simply an opportunity for us here at the Credit Nerds office to take a closer look at your file and help you decide which program out of our many funding programs that will best fit your funding goals. Now, I've created a short series of videos that are going to help you navigate through each step. So as soon as you're ready, click continue on the bottom right, and we will get started.
Okay, so could you hear that video?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what you see is that's what they're going to get along the way. They're going to get a really simple video that says, you know, here's what you're doing, here's what's about to happen, click continue. When they click continue, it's going to bring up a second video.
In this step, you're going to choose your funding enroller. Now, your funding enroller is the person who first originally introduced you to Renatus. Below this video, there's a drop-down that will have a list of all the enrollers that are available for you to choose. Some of you may have received a unique link from your enroller, and if so, your enroller's name will already be in that drop-down for you. If you don't see your enroller's name, you can simply click My Enroller is not listed. Below that will be a checkbox that says, would you like guidance from your enroller and your mentor group along the way? This will allow them to have access to us and your assessment to know what type of funding options are available to you and how they can help you move forward. After that, simply click Next, and we'll move on to some personal information from you, and you'll be set.
So we are going to choose Javosky by typing J-A-V, and he's the only J-A-V we have. Imagine that. Javosky. Now, we would like some guidance from the mentor group, so you'll click that button. What that's going to do is, if you've been inside the funds notification system and noticed that a person's assessment was not available to you, it was because they didn't click this box. We of course want this box to be clicked so that the mentor, the FAB member, the people that can help them in that process, we want them to be able to follow along, but we can't make them give us access to that information. So if that box remains unclicked, that person's assessment would not be viewable to the mentor or to the FAB member. Now that person's process and their status will still be available. So it will still say, you know, assessment complete, or, you know, awaiting reports, whatever their status is, that will still show. So we're going to say, I would like to give guidance, or to receive guidance next. Guys, this is a really simple form. We're going to say Tesley Snipes. And his email is test@test.com. Here's a phone number. Here's another phone number. Here's an address. Here's a city. Here's a state that I want in. Here's a zip. Now, this is going to be an income slider. Please slide the selector to your monthly income before taxes, gross monthly income. This is movable. we are seeing a lot of people leave it right here and not enter an income. The reason that we made this a slider was because people were putting in 47. And we didn't know, does that mean $4,700 a month? Does that mean $47,000 a year? Does that mean $47 an hour? What does 47 mean? So we tried to make this a slider. Now what we're seeing is, and if you guys can help us out, now what we are seeing is this is being just left right there. So I'll slide to my income, and I'm going to say that I make, you know what, I'm going to say I make, I make $8,500 a month. That would be awesome. Okay. Now I'm going to select a password. This password is for me to log into this system. So if you guys see up here in the corner where it says log in, this is the password that I'll use to log into this system. Next. And then there's another short video.
Okay, guys, this step is going to be a little tricky. It's the one that gives most people some trouble. So what I'd like you to do is watch the whole video before you move forward.
Okay, now I'm going to pause, and I'm going to hope that people pay attention.
Some trouble. So what I'd like you to do is watch the whole video before you move forward.
And then I'm going to pause it again because I'd like you to watch the whole video. It's 1 minute and 40 seconds. We've taken what used to be, I don't know if you were around in the very beginning of this whole process, but the initial assessment process was Nancy, 25 minutes?
Yes, easy.
Right? We've gotten that down to a maximum of, 6 or 7 minutes, but watch the videos in full before you move forward, because what's happening is people don't want to watch, and they'll just come down here and click next. And they're not reading that they have to put in some information. What this video is going to tell you, actually, you know what? It's 1 minute. We're going to watch it.
Below, there are two buttons. One says, Get My Credit Report. The other says, I already have mine set up. What these are for is to get access to a credit monitoring service. This will allow us at the Credit Nerds office to view your credit report without generating what is referred to as a hard inquiry on your file. That means when we look at your credit report, it won't damage your score or negatively affect you in any way. Now, if you click Get My Credit Report, a new tab is going to open on your screen. It's going to take you to checkmy3scores.com, which will allow you to sign up to view your report. Once you have done that, simply close that tab, and this tab will still be open. And below, there will be a box to insert the username and password that you set up for the monitoring service. Now, if you have already done that, you can simply click I already set mine up, and it will then open up the boxes to allow you to insert your username and your password. Remember, guys, this is the username and password for your credit monitoring service at checkmy3scores.com. If you put that in there, we'll be able to view your report, and we'll help you get on to the next step. The last step is simply some confirmations that says that you understand what we're here for and how we're helping you. So once you click next, you'll be all done. Thanks, guys, and we look forward to helping you reach your funding goals.
Okay, so let's assume that I already have my report set up. If I click right there, it just opens a box telling me to insert my username and password. If I have not set up my credit report, which most people when they get here have not, they're going to click Get My Credit Report. Now, what I want you to watch is right here a new tab will open. And it's for checkmy3scores.com, right? Now, when I set that up, I'm going to get a username and password. Once the username and password has been completed and I've got it all set up, I can just close that, and this tab is still open. Right here, ready for username and password. This is very important, guys. We cannot do an assessment without the username and password. We aren't able to view the report, and if we can't view the report, we definitely can't make any decisions as far as your funding options without having seen a current credit report. So we're going to click Next.
Can I just make sure that everybody knows that that particular website has nothing to do with Credit Nerds?
We do not. That's a great thing to say, Nancy. Thank you. We do not own the monitoring service. We are not the monitoring service. Several people have called in and said, you know, I set it up, just go look. Guys, this is a third-party company that we have to have your access to. We are not the monitoring service. We have nothing, you know, we don't charge for the monitoring service. We don't bill for a monitoring service. We are not the monitoring service. Was that pretty clear, Nancy?
Completely. Thank you.
Okay. Then there are going to be some notices here. I understand I'll be required to maintain my monitoring service throughout my funding process. Guys, this is really important. When you get your monitoring service set up, if you immediately go cancel it, then when we try to log in, we can't. Or if we're in the middle of your funding process and some things change, we need to be able to know that something has changed. Otherwise, we're going to be wasting inquiries. When it comes to funding, the terms wasting inquiries, it's the end of a funding process. If you go out and you start getting declines, you've racked up new inquiries, you're not going to start getting new accounts. It's a big problem. You don't want to waste the inquiries, to waste the applications. So we want to make sure before we actually create those applications on your behalf that they're going to a place where you would be a correct fit. Next, I understand there are fees associated with these programs that will be discussed before I apply. Now, if you notice, there's not really specific fees right there. The reason is the majority of our programs are 11.9% of the amount funded. Just to be super clear on that, what that means is if we help you achieve a funding amount of $50,000, then your fee would be 11.9% of the amount funded, or whatever that is, $5,800 roughly. I don't know what it is. Nancy?
Can I just make a statement on that real quick?
You can.
This fee is actually very common in this sort of industry. We actually had previously worked with a company called Hawkeye, and what these guys do is they charge an upfront fee, whereas what's different here is it's only based on what they call a success fee. If they get you $50,000, you pay 11.9% of that, where a lot of other companies don't do that, i.e., example Hawkeye, they used to actually charge an upfront fee of anywhere between 15 and 18%. And it didn't matter if you got funds or not. It wasn't based on the success, which was great, because what we do is you only pay a fee if you get funding.
Right. I've had a couple of other comments on that fee, and I want to clear up a couple of things as to why somebody would utilize the unsecured funding lines. For one, the lines that we work with are typically going to approve at about 20% higher than a person is going to get on their own. Secondary to that is the idea of liquidating the lines. If you go onto if you were to go on to creditcards.com, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Please don't do it.
Right.
If you were to go onto a credit card site and start applying for a bunch of credit cards, first of all, you're going to waste a lot of inquiries, because once you've hit 3 or 4 applications, they're going to start denying you simply because of the inquiries. Next, you're not going to be getting the types of lines that come with the 0% interest, with the very, very low interest. And then if you do get the lines, the difficult problem becomes getting the money from the lines into your pocket. If you take out a credit card and you go and try to pull all the money off, you're going to have a cash advance fee. A lot of times it's up to about 3%. And then that money is going to be sitting on your account at your cash advance interest rate, which is significantly higher usually than your standard purchase interest rate. Part of the bonus of this process is when we're liquidating the lines for you, if you do have a check cashing fee or some sort of fee for getting the money, that's usually waived from our fee. So if the bank does charge you, a few $100s or even up to, $1,000 or up to $3,000 for very, very large amounts, but if the bank does charge you that fee, we'll discount that from the 11.9. Then that money is liquidated on a standard interest rate. So if you're on a 0% line, you're getting the money into your pocket at 0%, not at your cash advance interest rate, which is usually 19 or 21 or 29 or whatever it may be. So it's extremely important to understand that while some of the lines may be issued in the form of a credit card line, there's a lot more to it than just, I could have went on Capital One. We're not getting Capital One lines. We're not getting, going on and getting somebody a standard credit card that then they're paying, 21 and 29%. It's not those types of lines. Some of the lines will be or could be credit card lines. Additionally, it could be what's called a check line of credit, which is you're issued blank checks that you can write against the line of credit. You may receive credit union lines, lines of credit with traditional banks. There's tons of different options of where you could receive your money. And when you do, we help you get that money into your pocket.
Can I add something to that?
You can add as much as you would like.
I think a lot of people are confused that they think that these are loans or credit cards or whatever that they could just go into their bank and be able to get. These are typically, some companies call them offline loans, some call them behind-the-counter loans, where you need to have an affiliation or a relationship with someone like we have in order to be able to get these. So it's not, it may look like you're just getting a credit card or whatever, but these are specific affiliations that you need to have in order to get these these are not, you can just go into your bank and get them. And I think that's where people kind of get confused.
Right.
Those are my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Once the credit has been received and accepted, then and only then are you charged your fee. So, we don't charge a trying fee. It's very similar to how we charge, in our credit repair service. We don't charge a trying fee. We don't charge a gave it my best shot fee. We charge success fees. So the same thing on your funding. You're charged based upon what you actually get and not based upon how hard we work to get it for you.
Bingo.
Moving on down, I understand Get Funded Online is not a lender or servicer of any loan, is acting solely as an intermediary for my funding process, and will transmit my information to lenders with whom I choose to interact. The final notice is I understand GetFundedOnline.com is not directly affiliated with or compensated by Renatus in any way. That's just so you guys understand that while we're helping you get your fees, our agreement is with whoever signs up for the funding. We don't get any type of kickback or an affiliate fee or anything back from Renatus. We get nothing back from Renatus. And then that person would check, and they would click submit. That's the whole process. That's every step. It can be done in as little as 5 and as much as 7 or 8 minutes. It's very simple. And if anybody has any problems, they're usually going to have their problems on this page. And there's a clear number. If you're having trouble setting up your monitoring account, please call us at that number right there. Guys, that is the business line. I have, since we started taking the calls for funding, I have added 4 additional phone lines to my office, and I've added 3 additional people answering phones to my office. If your call isn't answered, leave a message. We will give you a call right back. The call volumes are very, very high right now. So, you know, most calls are answered. I would say 85% to 90% of the calls that we receive during the day are answered. When I say during the day, that's going to be 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. So Chicago time, 9 to 6. California time, 7 to 4. So if you're out on the West Coast, guys, remember that, you know, the people that work in the office here, we are Central Time. They have some families. They're going home for dinner. So you need to move your calls a little earlier in the day. If you are on the East Coast, you're at 10 to 7. So wait a little bit longer into the mid-morning before you start calling the office, and you'll reach people. Nancy, I think that's a pretty clear walkthrough of the how to register for an assessment process. Do you agree?
I completely agree.
Fantastic. Then what I'm going to do is, and then it's also, just in case, if you do close the process, you will lose any uncompleted work, and it makes you say, yes, I do want to close it. All right. Let's go back and talk really quick who we are. Would it be all right if I just leave this on the screen like this right here?
Sure.
There we go. What is the role of GetFundedOnline.com? One of the things that we have had some slight misinformation and some confusion on is what we do and how we do it and what we're doing those things for. We are the intermediary. We are the consultant. We are finding the place where you fit and then working with that lender to get you approved at the highest possible amounts. So we are not the bank, we're not the lender. We simply find the proper funding options for your situation. We work to get you the highest approvals. It's usually going to be about 20% higher than lines that a person could find on their own. We then help you access the funds when we were talking about liquidating the lines, things like that. And we charge a fee of 11.9% of the funding received for using that service. Now, what are we doing? This one is one of my favorite slides. I don't know if you've ever heard the old phrase, get in where you fit in. Nancy, have you ever heard that?
I have heard of that.
90% of the applications that we have received will be declined for traditional funding sources. 90% of the applications that we have received would have been declined for traditional funding sources. That's why we have multiple options. The top of the arrow, absolutely. Unsecured, very large limits. You know, we're helping people get 100,000 plus. They're able to pay for their education. They're able to do some marketing. They're able to do real estate deals with that money. A little bit lower, there are some credit-based programs that they're going to get lower amounts, but they're still credit-based. They're not large unsecured lines. A lot of times they're going to be, you know, $5,000 limits and things like that, to where that's really, they can get their essentials, they can get in, they can do a little marketing, but that person's not the type of person that's going to be able to do any real estate or purchase their combo pack. They just don't have the credit file to do that. But we're still going to work with them to get them their essentials. Something new that we're actually doing is now third-party funding. What that means is some people may not fit our exact program, but they'll fit a third-party program that we know about. So what we're going to do is just pure and simple. We're going to give them the link on where to, you know, another place. We're going to say, hey, you don't really fit our program, but you do fit this one. Go here, fill out this form. That may be something. Illinois has a lot of low-limit lenders to where they offer, you know, loans up to $2,500 or loans up to $5,000 or different things where they have those different options. Different states have different programs. There was a time in the beginning when we would filter out the programs that didn't fit for every state. because we were looking for that one fit-all program. Now what we're doing is, if you don't fit the unsecured lines, we're going to try to go to credit-based. If you don't fit credit-based, we're going to try to find you a third party. And if you don't fit third party, we're going to have to use the no credit check option. So it literally is a get in where you fit in waterfall type of process. We're going to start you at the top, see if you can work with unsecured. If you can't, we'll go down. If you can't, we'll move on down. And if you can't, we'll go down to the no credit check option.
That's awesome.
The no credit check option, guys, has come so amazingly far from when we started this program. When we first started, for one, we didn't have a no credit check option. It just simply didn't exist. And the credit check program that we had, the costs weren't really, it didn't really have the best costs involved.
Right.
So we had to work on finding a way to create something better. The old program that shall not be named with a letter and a number. The old program, if you guys remember, had a cost that was built up to it was $3,800, and we were having to provide additional products and additional services. The reason for that was to simply make somebody feel like they were getting the value for that amount. So we were adding in additional, we were adding in credit repair for 6 months. We were adding in financial modules. We were adding in additional products and services to try to create a value that the essentials courses alone, although they're extremely valuable, the value of the essentials courses has already been set by Renatus. It's $2,000. It's 1997. So it was tough to sell a 1997 product for $3,800. The reason that had to happen in the past was simply because we couldn't find a lender that would lend $2,000 for that product. What we have now is a no credit check option. You can still be declined for the no credit check option. You must have an open bank account. You must not have excessive NSF entries. That's non-sufficient funds, bounce checks, returned payments, stuff like that. If you have a lot of returned payments and non-sufficient funds entries, you can be declined due to that reason. And you must have a verifiable income. If you don't have, here comes my tough love, if you don't have a bank account, and if you don't have verifiable income, or if you do have a bank account and you have a whole lot of NSF fees, I hate to say this, but guys, you don't need a loan because you can't afford a loan. You don't need to add a new payment because you're having trouble with your current bills, with your current situation. So adding a new payment would be a bad thing for you, and that's the least of our goals. We do not want to be a hindrance or add something that's gonna make your life a little worse. We're trying to make everyone's life better. So if you have an open bank account and you don't have a lot of return payments or NSF fees, and you've got verifiable income that fits for certain levels, you can receive the no credit check program. That means even if you have a 390 credit score, you can be approved for the no credit check option. Now, the no credit check option does have a down payment built in for different levels, and the majority of people that we are seeing right now, their down payment, based upon where they sit with their bank accounts and their incomes, the majority of people that we are seeing, the down payment is right at $600. Now, I'm from the school of listening to the mentors, and the mentors say, well, I've already got a program that's no credit check that is also $400 down. And you guys know what I'm talking about there. My thoughts on that, this program is $600 down. However, your education is paid in full. That means the mentor is paid in full. That means Renatus is paid in full. So if something happens down the road, 6 or 9 months from now, and that person was to unfortunately not be able to complete their payments, that's between them and the lender. You don't lose your commission. They don't lose their, they've not lost their education in this program. That's between them and their lender. Renatus is paid in full, which means you, the mentor, have been paid in full. So, the down payment from UGA to this program is 4 up to 6, but you as the mentor are paid in full because the Renatus order is paid in full. So if there's not really a huge cost issue, if somebody can come up with $400, they can usually come up with 6. Right. If that's not the major issue, and the simple issue is just the credit, let's get them to come up with the 6 so that we can get Renatus paid in full, we can get their education paid in full so they don't have to worry about losing it, and we can get the mentor paid in full. The reason for the higher down payment is so completely simple. UGA has no risk involved with their funding option because they pay out as the student pays in. So if the student doesn't pay in, they don't pay out. So there is no chance of risk. With this program, as soon as that student pays their down payment, the entire amount for their essentials, the full $1997, is paid out. So this lender is out money. They're actually making a risk. That's why they have a slightly higher down payment. That's where I'm at on that. So if we can lead people in that direction to understand that there's not a huge difference between $400 and $600, their education is going to be paid in full. They don't have to worry about losing it. They don't have to worry about anything. They're done. Their purchase with Renatus is complete. That means you as the mentor are paid in full.
Perfect.
Next, third party. This is something, like I said before, this is something new that we're doing. Really quick, the total cost, Nancy?
Yeah.
Including interest, the entire total cost of the no credit check option, once they've paid every single payment, is $2,300.
Wow.
That's including their interest.
So interest and everything on that would be, what did you say it was? $2,300?
$2,300.
So it's only $300 in interest?
Right.
In anything?
Right. It's if you remember before, people were paying $3,800.
Right.
With this program, their entire essentials education is going to cost $2,300 for them to finance it instead of $2,000. So we're into a point where it's actually a feasible cost. It's actually an understandable amount. If you're going to finance something, you understand there's no such thing as free money, unless you're on, like one of our 90-day options, which we do have, same as cash programs. But those are even, we start talking about significantly more down payments and stuff like that. But there's really no such thing as a free loan. You're always going to pay something. But when you're talking about a total of $2,300 for a $2,000 loan, now you're in a point where you're actually making a feasible cost for your return. Now, on the third-party option, this is something new. This is something kind of exciting that we're helping people with. We are so built around the success of the student that even if our program doesn't fit you, and we know of a different program that does fit you, we're going to walk you through that program. That means that if it's something that's separate from us and we just send you over to it, guys, that means we wish you the best and we tell you where to get your money if we can't get it to you. That's so, awesome. I hate to toot my own horn there, but, we're going outside, above and beyond by saying, hey, you don't really fit our program, but we do know of this other place where you could get funded. That's a very, very, very small portion of people. Usually, if they can get funded anywhere, they can get funded with us too. But there will be a very, very small portion of people that can go to a couple of different other places, and we will deliver them to those places and walk them right through the whole process. And on those places, the funds are delivered directly to the student. The great thing about sending somebody through their assessment process is, as we are following along with them, the mentors are then notified that the student has received funds. So instead of the funds being directly issued to Renatus, there is a small chance that Vegas comes around. The funds are going to the student on some programs. So if the funds go to the student, we need to make sure that the mentor knows that they received those funds as soon as possible so that they can get them called, get their order put in, get the check written, get the credit card ran, whatever it may be, in order to get them their education purchased. And then finally, unsecured funding. And I made a point to put in what is fractional lending because this is something from before. People hear a lot of times that somebody that went through our service received a $50,000 line. That has happened multiple times and will happen again in the future. That somebody received their entire funding amount from one source. However, that is not the norm. Usually, the entire funded amount will come from 3 to 4 sources. The reason is it's much easier to convince 5 banks to give you $10,000 each than it is to convince one bank to give you $50,000. Much, much easier to convince the 5 banks to give you 10 as opposed to one bank giving you 50. So the majority of people that will go through the unsecured funding are going to receive usually 4 to 5 different lines. We said it before, I'm going to say it again. They may be credit lines. They may be direct bank funding. They may be overdraft accounts. They may be check lines where they issue you the blank checks. They may be credit card type lines. There's lots of different options on where that funding is going to come from. So our goal is to get you as much as we can from whatever the best sources are. These programs do have the maximum credit requirements, but I want to dispel some of the old myths. There was a point where you were hearing minimum 680, minimum of 40% utilization, minimum of this. You were hearing those things. Guys, that was really more internal stuff. It was an idea of who qualifies for different programs. The reason for the assessment is so that the mentors don't have to tell each applicant that they're looking for a 680 score, because if somebody goes to the Check My 3 Scores program and they pull their report there, they might see a 690, and then that same person may go to some other credit site and they'll see a 670. And that same person who might have actually approved for funding won't apply because they saw a lower score on a different site. So there are no minimum scores. There are no minimum utilization or maximum utilization. It's just simply an idea of what you'll get based upon that particular credit file. So what you've seen a lot lately, or what a lot of mentors have seen lately, is people who previously were getting denied funding, or people who previously were getting to where they weren't applying for this program simply because they didn't have what they thought were the minimum requirements. Well, now they're getting pre-qualification offers of, $5,000 and $12,000, and you're right, it's not $50,000, it's definitely not $100,000, but $5,000. I mean, that buys an essentials pack, that buys some marketing, that buys them some that buys them a chance to move forward. So just because somebody doesn't have a specific score or specific number of inquiries or a specific utilization ratio, let us figure out where they're going to fit, because we are seeing people who have scores down in the 650s and 660s that are still approving for unsecured funding. They're just approving at smaller amounts. So the couple of the bonuses really quick: waived or lowered fees, and then we do charge a fee of 11.9% of the funding received for using this service. GetFundedOnline.com. the easiest way to fund your Renatus education.
I love
That's
it.
the end of my part, Nancy.
Okay. So, for everybody that's on here, obviously you can go to that site and get more information if you need it. I think the biggest thing that people will ask me is, well, what exactly should we do? I always tell people if they can fund their education any other way, then go that route first. If people have 401ks, they can take a loan against that. If they have an IRA, they can do an early distribution, or they can do a rollover, a 60-day rollover. So there's things that people can do. If they have hard assets, they can liquidate those, annuities, stocks, bonds, all those different things. This is the next step if people don't have any sort of financing available to them or any sort of assets available. So they can just go right to this site and get their funding assessment. I think a lot of times people want to try to have all the answers for their people. It's not really our job to do that. All we need to do is get them to this site, and Eric and his team are going to take everything over from there. We do have a notification system for any mentors that are on the line where you'll be able to find out exactly where your people are in the process. Now, that is not a training for this webinar. Eric and I need to figure out how we actually want to do that, if it's going to be a training section in the notification system or whatever. But as of right now, that's not something that we're going to train on this particular webinar. So if you guys have any questions, please get back to your mentor. They know how to get a hold of myself or the Credit Nerds team if they need to. And Eric, if there's anything else, do you want to add?
The only thing that I wanted to add right there, Nancy, was for the people who, when you say they can get funded any other way,
yeah,
if they're trying to go get credit to fund their education, let us help.
Right.
When you say get funded any other way, you don't want to send people to get a bunch of credit cards because they're going to end up on a site that is an affiliate site that comes with the worst possible offers. They come with the highest possible fees, and then those are marketed offers. So banks want people to get the offers that they market. The offers that we usually get for people are not something that you're going to find on creditcards.com. Right.
Thank you for clarifying that, because we absolutely do not want people to do that. We don't. We actually had, I can give you a perfect example. We had a guy that has been going through funding, and he decided that even while we were working on this process behind the scenes, that he was going to go out there and apply for all these credit cards. And because he did that, he had a pre-approval of like $30,000. And as soon as he started going out and going to these various credit card companies and filling one online, he wasn't able to get any more funds because he had so many inquiries on his report.
And he got himself like $1,500.
Yes. And he was very upset, which obviously he was upset at himself. So if you're looking for credit or any of those ways, please go this route. When I'm saying funds, I'm talking about funds that they can liquidate, right, or have as far as assets to be able to get their education. Otherwise, send them to the site. Cool. Anything else, Eric, you want to add?
I don't think so.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. This will also, you will get a recording of this probably within an hour. So in case you want to send this out to anybody or you want a refresher, you should get that soon. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week, same time, same station.
Oh.
Can you end the webinar because it's still live?
It is live, but I stopped.